Here we go. Craig Zimmerman and Jessie Laboon on a Wednesday night preview here for the Marine City High School football preview show. We'll talk a little bit about what went on last year. We'll talk a little bit what's going to go on this year for schedule. We'll talk about some returners. We'll talk about the roster. Well, how do we want to start it out, Jesse?
Yeah, well, let's recap last year. 8-3 year for the Mariners. Remember the first game of the year we lost in a double overtime loss to Armada.
Yep.
And then for the rest of the year there, we're just scrolling through. I think it was pretty well, a season that they cruised through pretty good, with the exception of the last game of the year when we ended up getting beat by a really good Durand team.
Yep. And then we went on to the playoffs. You lose track of who you played exactly first and second. So I remember, who was it?
First we beat Yale.
Yale.
At a home game there for a pre-district. And then we had Flint Hamady at home as well after that. That ended up being our final game of the season. We lost to them 33-27.
And that was one of those games that, all the prognosticators looked at that game and said, well, there's no way a Flint Hamady team's going to come in and beat Marine City. Because nobody knew of Flint Hamady. You never heard of them, in say, the playoff pictures of years past. But you look at that game, and realistically, if you want to say, what was the cause of the loss? The cause of the loss was basically that they had a quarterback and a running back that you could have in the grasp,
and they just escape
and make a play out of it, and run 60 yards for a touchdown. And it was like just the perfect combination of that. But that game went down to the end where one or two plays goes our way. We win it in typical fashion. So.
Yeah, and in double overtime, where you fight tooth and nail to the end of the game like that, and you end up in a double overtime. It's like a couple years back with Detroit Denver. There was was that 2 or 3 overtimes?
I think,
yeah. But anyway, we can go back and watch that on CTV. It's one of my favorites to rewatch. Yep. But you're that closely matched with a team like that, and you get down to 1 or 2 overtimes, and one team's going to win, one's going to lose, and it just comes down to a play or two.
Yeah, as our Mariner fans would be, an 8-3 season's not up to par, really. You want to go much deeper than districts, but we just happen to be in a district that was real tough.
Correct.
And so that happens. Coming in, I just went through the starting lineup from late in the season, and it looks like, and we don't have, we're talking preseason, and we haven't talked to coach to ask for a starting lineup, but it appears that there's probably at least 5 starters on offense coming back, 5 starters on defense at their different positions that had played, almost all throughout. So it's, pretty heavily laden with some experience. And then most likely when you plug in the other 6 players on offense, 6 players on defense, they're going to be guys that played a fair amount of platooning minutes.
Sure.
So you have a lot of experience coming back.
Especially with that 5-quarter rule. They really try to expand upon that. For people at home that aren't familiar with that, but some of the smaller schools it's all of high school. So even the kids that play JV are allowed to play maybe 1 quarter up on varsity. So it's a really good experience to get them up there, and Darren and the other coaching staff does a really good job of getting those kids on the field, whether it be 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, whatever, but just to let them experience that pace of play.
Yep. One thing to note this year, a couple changes in coaching. A couple of the coaches retired. Bill Nesbitt retired. And Andy Shields, I believe, is coaching, but only during the week and not on Fridays, because his son basically is in his senior year, and he's playing football in not Sterling Heights, but
Ike, right?
Eisenhower.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Joe Forgetto goes from a long-term JV coach who's done a phenomenal job, and he's now the we'll call it assistant coach, offensive line coach.
Sure.
For varsity.
And a lot of people, his name doesn't get mentioned enough as well as the rest of the coaches there below on varsity. I mean, those are the guys that are there to teach the basics and get them ready up that varsity level. That's why they can, they only practice for 2.5, 3 weeks before their first Friday night game. I mean, this will probably air, I'm thinking Saturday or Sunday, and a week from that we'll be away at Armada, our first game of the year. So it's not a whole lot of time to get acclimated. So the more those kids learn at the early level, whether it be 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, all the way through there, it's just huge.
Yeah, and a big thing that with Joe being so familiar with all the kids, whether it's kids he had last year and they're brought up, or even the varsity team. He's coached him for, 18, 20 years, so he's done a tremendous job, and he knows it. So that's a plug and play right there. As what I said, what appears to be 5 starters on offense, the returners that were starters were Jeremy Westrick, a senior lineman, Will Steyer, a senior lineman as well. Those are 2 of the big guys up front. Then the backfield, Parker Atkinson, a senior, Cooper Letson, a junior, Lincoln Osterlin, second year. He'll be a sophomore, but he had quite a few snaps at quarterback last year. So that's
got some good experience.
Yeah, those are the, we'll call them returners. And then on the defensive side, Jeremy Westrick playing defensive end, Evan Jones, a senior defensive tackle. Then you got Bodie Ramsey as well as a senior, Parker Atkinson playing on defense, and Nick Ruffino. Now, Nick Ruffino, the name Ruffino, some people may confuse because his brother was a senior last year and played all the time on defense and some on offense.
Yeah.
Nick is the freshman of last year. He'll be a sophomore this year, taking over somewhat for his brother, but he played a lot of time on JV and varsity last year, late in the year. So those are the 5 starters on offense, defense that were late in the year, and obviously we'll have a number of players that'll fill in, and we'll talk about that a little bit. Our schedule this year, we're going to start off with the same team, first game of the year, playing Armada in Armada.
Correct.
Friday night. What's the date on that? I don't have the date, but it's right there in the paper there. But it is in Armada.
August 25th.
Yep. So
7 p.m.
They'll be playing, I believe, on natural grass. I think Armada has, and grudge match. Didn't beat them last year.
Nope. And you'd love to return the favor to go to their house this year and start their season off with a loss, which is, I know it's what everybody's gunning for.
Right. What do we got for game 2?
Well, after that, we're home against Clawson for game 2.
Yep.
And then we are away, but we are still playing at East China Stadium against St. Clair for game 3 of the year.
Yep. Game 3 against St. Clair. I mean, there's no need to even discuss that.
Right.
It's
Everybody knows.
all hands on deck. Doesn't matter what the record is. You want to win the bell. You want to dominate your foe from the north, whatever you want to call it.
And a couple years ago, I think we had the same schedule. We're going into week 8 when we played them. So you always wonder, what's better? Where does it really get hyped up? Does it get hyped up week 3, week 8? I don't think it really matters.
I don't think it matters in St. Clair, right?
Right. And following that, we play South Lake at home.
Yep.
And then we're away at Marysville.
Now the interesting thing, just a little tidbit of information there. Marysville is replacing their field turf with new field turf, and they're changing game spots for games 1 and 3, I believe, because the grass isn't done yet. So it'll be interesting to find out. I mean, by the time game time shows up, we're going to know, but it'll be interesting to see if they get it in by week 5.
Well, I would think so.
I would
hope
think,
so, anyway.
but we're talking the week before kickoff, and it's not even, I guess,
not completed yet.
Yeah, so we're at Marysville week 5.
Yep. And then week 6, we are home against Lamphere High School.
Yep. And Lamphere, we played them tough down there. I know we scored a bunch of touchdowns against them, but they're pretty good.
So then that moves us over to week 7 against Clintondale. We are away there. I haven't had a chance. I know we've played Clintondale quite a bit in the past, but not of the last couple of years. I didn't have a chance to look up our records against them, but
played them in the playoffs about 3-4 years ago, and then we played them in our MAC Gold for a number of years. Back when Tony Scarcelli was the coach and even Bob Siskevich was the coach. Tony's brother coached at Clintondale. We played them. Without looking at my computer numbers, I think we've lost to Clintondale twice in the last 30 years. I can remember one specific in the second ones. Give or take, that's
I'll
about
give us
right.
some talking points this year.
Yeah.
Following Clintondale, we come home versus Centerline, and that's going to be the homecoming game.
Orange and black against orange and black.
Yep.
And if anybody went to that game last year, I always say that's a throwback stadium where they have the baseball fields on both ends, sort of like the old, Cleveland Municipal Stadium or Candlestick Park
even
back
Oakland,
in the day.
right?
Oakland
for a while.
Oakland did as well. So we'll play them, and then
Last game of the season will be week 9 and against Durand at home.
and we'll hope to avenge
Our
that
loss
loss as
there.
well.
Correct.
So, we're told by, I'll say the term prognosticators that say that Durang graduated a ton, but who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, that was a very good team we faced last year.
Yeah.
Slightly disappointing to see that they, how early they went out. Thought they really had some good chances, but.
Yep.
But anyway, yeah, we'll get them at home, and so we can start and end our season by avenging losses would be perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Then it would be nice to go, as typical Mariner football goes, get her all tuned up so that by week 9, week 10, you're playing really good football. Injuries are down to a minimum, going to the playoffs healthy, and roll into maybe regionals this year.
It would be nice.
That would be good. I guess we can go over the roster. Number 1 will be Grant Westrick, a returning senior. Number 2 will be Paul Muscat, a returning junior. Number 3, returning Evan Jones, a senior. 4, Tyler Wilcox, a junior. 5, Anwar Sufyan. Number 6, do you know this guy?
I think so. I've run into him once in a while. Easton Laboon.
Okay, is he eating his Wheaties? Is he working in the weight room? That's what I want to know.
Yes, he is. Unfortunately, I don't think he's eaten enough, but he's it's a good camaraderie with the kids, with the boys, and
Yep.
they're working.
Got another Van de Viver in there, number 8, Daniel Van de Viver, followed by sophomore Nicholas Ruffino, number 9, Cooper Letson, 10, Noah Ross, he saw quite a bit of action last year, and Noah is a senior, he's number 11. Spencer Sanchez, number 12, a junior. Michael Blunden played quite a bit on JV last year. I know he played tight end, made some catches, number 13. Parker Atkinson, the senior, number 14. Lincoln Osterlund, the sophomore quarterback. Everybody's looking for big things out of Lincoln. Just hearing through the grapevine, he's made some strides with his footwork, gotten stronger, and probably spent a ton of time working with some people as far as getting his timing down.
Yeah, I think they did 3 or 4 7-on-7s,
Yep.
and you could see the first one was earlier in the year, and every time you went to one, it was just a little more crisper. The routes, the timing, and
Yep.
all that stuff. It takes a while to develop.
Go ahead and take from number 18 down.
Number 18, Cameron Maluski, a senior. Number 19, Landon Frank, he's a junior. Number 21, Landon Augusta, a junior. Junior also number 22, Judd Brown. And then you've got Austin Brown, number 23, a sophomore. 24, Dakota Drop Tinney, a sophomore. Caden Martin is a senior, he's number 30. Then we get to number 40, Chase Ramsey, he's a sophomore. Kyler Rumley, number 44, a senior. And Owen Jacobs, number 48, a senior. You're up.
Okay, we'll start it off. Number 51, Derek Mike Mishoff. 52, Derek's a junior. Number 52, Austin Kohler, he's a junior. Jeremy Westrick, 55, senior, been there a long time. Number 56, Kaylee Urbani, a senior. 58, Alexander Teed, sophomore. 66, Will Steyer, senior. Bodie Ramsey, 68, senior. Andrew Senar, 70, a junior. Nathan Golan, 72, a junior.
And then we've got number 77, Nicholas May, he's a senior. Senior number 78, William Westrick, otherwise known as Billy.
Yep.
Number 79, Noah Northrup, he's a junior. Edward Forgetto, EJ, as we know him.
Nobody calls him
sophomore.
Edward, do they?
I know, but that's his name.
I know.
From now on, he'll be affectionately known as EJ. He's number 80. Number 84, Colin Gabler, a junior. Kyle Rickert, number 90, a senior. And Jonathan Hand, Johnny Hand, 97, a sophomore.
Quite a few names there you'll notice that played quite a bit last year. I mean, we talked about the starters. If I'm picking out guys that played a lot of downs but maybe weren't starters, the first one that comes to mind really is Paul Muscat. Paul played a lot of downs, especially with a couple of the backs hurt at times. So Paul's going to be one of the stud running backs, handing off a lot. If you're going down the list of, we talked about the starters. Noah Ross, we know he's going to play. And some of these names might be starters already. We just don't know.
Right.
Looking at some of these. Cam Maluski. Cam ran it a lot last year. And
a lot last year.
I'm assuming he's going to be another running back that's going to run a lot and probably be one of the starters. just looking down here, looking at names. Is Chase Ramsey Bodie's brother?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. We learn something every day. Other names, let's see. I think we got most of them, and then we'll, Noah Northrup, he played quite a bit last year as well. Colin Gabler did. Kyle Rickard, heard through the grapevine he may be a center. So, but we'll get on with that. What else? We got anything else we want to discuss?
No, I think so.
Okay, I think
I'm
we got
ready.
her covered. Everybody's excited around town for the start of Mariner football. You know, you start to hear, big things going on. If this is on later, it'll already have happened, but Battle of the Bands is a big thing. Friday night, Saturday night this week.
Right.
And if we can get our buddy Ryan Wiley, who's buying the camera, if we can get him to get that up to Paul and get it all edited. Well, we don't need editing because we're pretty close to perfect on this stuff, right?
Yeah, you might be.
So if we can get it up to Paul tomorrow, we can get this online and just remind people that, that's a cool fundraiser. And it's, to me, it's almost like a homecoming of sorts downtown in the park with Battle of the Bands. What, Friday nights this year?
It's nice to have a little place up there.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
do a great job with the cameras and the microphones and everything. And every year we're trying to make just not even not just the players' experience over there, but the fan experience too. So you've seen a lot of things that
Yeah.
that we've kind of tried to add and try to sustain over there. So this year, and all that takes a lot of time and money by a
Yeah.
lot of people. And
Yep.
and this year we've reached out to some companies, and they've been very very generous. Air and Forest down at Riverside Supply and Gear gave quite a bit of money to sustain our Friday night, our fireworks, our smoke, our cannon. Mark Morris, he's very generous as well. So
Yeah, I mean, keeping...
Erickson, I don't know the man owner, but they
Mr.
generated-
Erickson, yes.
Mr. Erickson. So I mean, there's a lot of companies around here that give a lot of here and there to make Friday night special over there, not only for the players but for the fans as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we certainly appreciate all of that.
Yeah, it costs money to put fireworks up there, and it costs money to keep the boat up, and like you said, all the shells for the cannon. I suspect, I'm not sure, but I'm going to make a prediction that we're going to play St. Clair, and we're the visitors, but I'm going to make a prediction that the cannon will be, in use that night.
I would hope so.
Okay.
Hey, and you know what? We talk about this every year, and Letson says, hey, if you don't want the cannon to go off, don't let us score. So
There you go.
you control how much that cannon fires.
Okay, there we go. Watch CTV6. In case you wondered, you can just Google CTV6 St. Clair. You can go to watchctv.org, and you can watch the games. You can send them to grandma, grandpa, aunts, and uncles. So if they want to watch it when they're down in Florida or out west or who knows where they'll be, we can do that, and you can watch the game the next day and stream it, stop it, do whatever you want. Watch it whenever you want to watch. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll catch you in week 2 at East China Stadium, Mariner Field against Clawson, I
Clawson,
believe.
that's right.
Clawson. So for Jesse, I'm Craig. He's Ryan. CTV6. Thanks.